Hi, and welcome to 3 Things in 3 Minutes. I'm Nersi. Today we are looking at Santa Monica from AEG. It plays 2 to 4 players and plays in 45 minutes or less. What it's about: Santa Monica is a card drafting and laying game where you're trying to lay out businesses and beachfronts along my hometown of Santa Monica. Now each turn you draft a feature card from the display, which will either go onto your beach or on your street. And they may give you tourists and locals that you'll need to move around, or sand dollars that you'll spend on special abilities. The game ends in the round when someone has built their 14th card, and then you will score based on whether you've met certain card requirements, some overall objectives, and where your VIP has managed to travel during the game. What I like: this game is a very quick, accessible card placement and drafting game, and it's really easy to get into. The rules are pretty simple, and the complexity actually more comes from the careful placement of your cards. And the game is really quick to both clean up and set up, which is great for a light game. But there's also a bit of variability in the game setup, and that's particularly in the final scoring objectives that you choose from one of the 3 tiles at the beginning of the game. And similarly, you'll choose sand dollar abilities at the beginning of the game, so coupled in with some highly variable cards, the game can take on a different strategy from one to the next. The game also has charming art that conveys a nice, peaceful vibe. It has some adorable screen-printed meeples, and actually a lot of the business names and the logos on the cards are pretty funny, so make sure you take a close look at them. Now, points to consider. The game's simple rules do mean that you don't actually have a lot of variability in your actions. Now, you'll find that some of the variability will come particularly from how you lay out your tiles, because otherwise your turns are pretty much just drafting from one of the 4 visible cards. And even though some of the sand dollar abilities will do other things, they really don't do much to change this formula. Now, but the weight of the game, for how light it is, actually keeping track of how you lay down your cards and how they score can actually get increasingly complex and hard to handle, especially later in the game when you're actually trying to figure out how a dozen cards may chain off of their neighbors. And that feels like a lot of tracking for an otherwise pretty light game. And the game also requires a very wide play area. Now you can spread out in either direction from your starting tile, and you won't always know which way you're going to go, so you'll find that you may not only need a lot of space for your tableau, but actually might have to slide your tableau around to make room for new cards. So, in summary, it is a light, fun, and easy to learn drafting and card laying game that actually has a surprisingly complex bit of tableau tracking, especially later in the game. The game does allow for some variability due to changing objectives and special abilities, but the main actions themselves don't really change much from round to round. And the game has some clever, breezy art, but it does demand an unpredictably wide amount of table space and moving around. Thanks so much for watching. Please make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.